Hello, everybody. Fran Strickland here with Vera Lead Biz Solutions and tapped in with Vera Lead Biz Solutions. I'm with the lovely Lisa Birnesser today. And Lisa and I are going to have a fantastic conversation. Believe me, this is really important because actually, this is our third try to bring this message to you. So it must be very powerful, and someone knows that there is someone in our audience who really needs to hear this. So, Lisa, I am so happy to have you with us. Tapped in with Verily Biz Solutions is all about helping owners, founders, CXOs, entrepreneurs achieve a better life, a higher quality of life by enhancing their growth both professionally as well as personally. And Lisa, you are in a very, very important place in terms of the services that you provide. So why don't you just kick us off and tell us about you? What do you do and who do you serve?
Thank you so much, Fran. I'm so happy to be here. So, what I do is I guide women coaches, consultants, and creatives to break free from the cycle of overcommitment and exhaustion so that they can lead with clarity, confidence, and energy that lasts.
hmm hmm And so, how do you help them achieve that end?
Well, I have a process where I help them to be able to identify their vision, of where they're going. I have them take a look at what they're able to see as their values, what's most important to them, so that they can make clear decisions. I have them be able to develop and strengthen their boundaries. And these are all boundaries: physical, emotional, mental, and even energetic boundaries, so that they could clearly focus on what matters most. And I
Mhm.
help them to be able to identify where they are with if their energy is draining. Because if they're doing things and making decisions that aren't aligned with what's most important to them, then they are leaking energy and not able to fulfill what they want in their lives.
Mhm. Mhm. So, I've heard you talk about energy. Um, and whenever I hear the word energy, I'm thinking that it really is a multidimensional aspect
Mhm.
of a person's makeup, psychologically, emotionally, um, um, and even aspirationally, the things that's, as you said, that are important to them. So when someone comes to you, what kind of conversation have they been having with themselves before they say, I need to talk to someone like Lisa?
Most likely, they are highly stressed,
Mm-hmm.
and that delves into the possibility that they're edging in on burnout.
Mm.
So, if they've ever experienced that cycle of burnout before, then that could be a place that they're in. As far as other things that they may notice, is that they're having a difficulty being clear, focusing, making decisions that are important in their business, in their life, and that they're not actually being able to fulfill their values. In If their value is spending time with their family and their business is interrupting that, they're not actually living the life that they want to on purpose.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, so what I'm hearing is they may be having these kinds of conversations. Wow, my work is just it's taking up everything. Um, it even sounds like it could be that someone may not even be recognizing that they are in crises.
Mhm.
Is that a possibility?
Absolutely, it's a possibility. you don't get to a space of edging on burnout or experiencing burnout if you don't already know the rhythm of chronic stress in your life. Because eventually you just become numb to the fact you think that this is the way it's supposed to be every day, to be in chronic stress. And what they don't notice is how it may be affecting their sleep, how it may be affecting their outlook on life, how it may be affecting their family and relationships, and how it may be directly affecting their business.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So it sounds like to me, and I think that probably a lot of our audience are realizing how interconnected all aspects of life are. Of course, some people compartmentalize, so they have their business over here, and it never kind of fades in to their personal lives, their relationships. But I'm kind of getting the impression from you that even if someone thinks they're really good at compartmentalizing their lives, that really isn't a reality. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. What may be apparent in our minds isn't necessarily how reality is.
Hmm.
So if compartmentalizing takes a lot of clean focus, and at that point in time, that in the midst of high stress or burnout, that's not possible.
Hmm.
Um, with with compartmentalizing, how this is what I believe in. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so it's showing up somewhere where there is a disconnect because you are disconnected at that point. In order to be able to operate at that level, you're actually disconnected from emotion.
Hmm.
And it may not be something that you're aware of, but you're operating on pure willpower and adrenaline if you're
Hmm.
pushing at that level. And you're not living from a space where there is any peace or calm or ability just to be who you are. You're operating on all sorts of chemicals that your body may be putting out.
Okay, so what I just heard is that many of the things that people do that may delude them into thinking they're in control is really ultimately a disconnect from their true selves, their feelings, or just what they're really experiencing.
Hmm.
It's it's really shutting down.
Yes.
Okay, really shutting down. Now, this you probably have kind of covered this indirectly, but hopefully this question will just make it even more evident. What is an indicator? I mean, if people just kind of saying, hey, I'm doing it, my my work is over here, I'm not affecting my family. We're all cool. Everything is wonderful in the house. Everything is wonderful with my friends. What might be an indicator for someone to help them realize that that belief that all is cool and that there's no fading of one aspect into another, that that's not true and that they really need to take a step back and take a look?
Going back to your grassroots of self care will give you that answer.
Okay, tell me more.
So, for example, if you've always had difficulty sleeping,
Hmm.
or even more so that you're waking up at certain times during the night, or you're finding yourself, you look at your calendar and you go, oh my gosh, there's no white space in my calendar. My calendar is completely full. That could be
Hmm.
a huge warning sign.
Hmm.
And that you are experiencing exhaustion at some
Mhm.
level. You just feel like you never are in your body feeling who you are as a human being. And
Mhm.
sometimes it just takes that moment of quiet to really start to see all the things that are below the surface of everything looks like it's going okay and my business is fine and I'm making money, to take a step deeper. And that's the part of even just having a conversation with me, just taking a step deeper to see what is your life like underneath all of this, because that is that's the space that's unsustainable if you don't pay attention to it.
Mhm. Mhm. So I hear one opportunity is looking at some real concrete things that's happening in your life, like your calendar, no white space, um, not sleeping, and that the sleeping just now is a pattern, perhaps more so than just on occasion it might come up.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, as we know, sometimes it takes people time to come to grips with something is not right.
Hmm.
And they may pursue all types of avenues to try to address what's going on with them. Okay. Uh, so if a person starts to get a sense of something being out of balance, and you had said that their realization comes from kind of their self care,
Hmm.
looking at their self care. What would you suggest for someone who might be, just kind of standing back, saying, well, I'm not feeling quite myself, but they're not ready to make a step and talk to someone? What might they do to intervene with that decline, right, in well being or mental well being?
We operate in patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have even begun to step into a high level of stress or stress period, or have gone through a burnout before, if those things have been similar, you have the choice of getting off the train before it crashes,
Okay.
because it's already in process, and it's difficult to see because denial can be a really strong defense mechanism in our minds, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, it's not going to happen again, it's just fine. Because I have been in the industry, stress relief industry, for a very long time, and I have experienced more than one time burnout.
Mm.
So it's a matter of being completely honest with yourself. And sometimes that's really difficult to do. However, if you're seeing just any of those similar things that have happened in the past,
Mm-hmm.
then it's a reason to start to look deeper.
Mm-hmm. 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 So one can build off the past experience. They can do a past life scan. I guess is what I would call it, and they may see patterns that may suggest that they're in a loop.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so they have a choice of not doing that again.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes it's just like, oh my God, I never want to go through that again. I want to be able to have somebody in my pocket to support me in this process.
Hmm. Hmm. Lisa, before you mentioned it, I was just thinking that you had a story behind what you do. Do you
Mhm.
mind sharing a little bit about your journey to that's gotten you to this point of service?
Absolutely. In a previous business, I had a wellness practice And
Mhm.
I had several people working for me after this fact. But what I kept saying to myself is, I need six more hands. And I literally needed six more hands because my massage practice had gotten more than I could handle. But what I didn't take into consideration is that I was the service provider. I washed the laundry, I did the marketing, I did the booking, I did my QuickBooks. And I just became so frustrated and exhausted. I had this habit of saying yes to everything, whether it really was what I needed or not, because I had a big FOMO. I was afraid of missing out on something.
Mhm.
And I would find I just wanted to be able to provide services to the community that were going to be helpful for them to heal.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I had a bigger vision, but this wasn't the way to do it.
Mhm.
And I really adopted a hustle mentality. I would be up till 2 o'clock in the morning working on my website. I would be, I just kept pushing and pushing myself, and I entered a burnout episode.
Mhm.
And it not only, whether it caused it or not, it caused difficulties in my relationship, and I ended up having a divorce.
Mhm.
So at the time, I took it personally. I really thought that I was some sort of epic failure. But then I realized that no, it just showed me how not to do this.
Mhm.
I was building it on ego and not on connecting and believing in any kind of faith within myself or trust in myself or another power.
Mhm.
And then I learned that saying no meant that I had the opportunity to build that trust in me. I was trying to fix everything outside myself to make everything work, from marketing to a laundry service. And I wasn't really paying attention to my own personal growth. So this became the reason why I really wanted to work with women business owners, because I knew what it was like, but I also knew what it was like to care so much to make something happen, because it wasn't just business, it was my personal life as well. And that overextension and loss of energy really impacted how I was doing that.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Wow. I heard so many things in what you shared, uh, and they resonated. And I'm going to try to pull out some of those. You talked about ego, and it was like a superwoman mentality. You could do it all. You would do it all. Um, it was fear of missing out, that was there. Like if you didn't show up and do it all, you were going to miss something, and that was going to be detrimental. That was a very high level of care for others.
Mhm.
And once again, also, it even sounded a little bit like me, is thinking that, I care for these people, and if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Another kind of, I'm the super person here,
Yes.
and that the combination of, I mean, I can just see in my mind's eye that, that you're like this person with all these different arms and hands, is just reaching out, trying to do all these different things, and shifting from one thing to another,
Mhm.
which also suggests that as a business owner, it's really essential to see what activities are happening in one's business, and then to accommodate, get help, or find other ways. Now they can use technology to help
Mhm.
alleviate some of that demand that is causing people to have 1,000 arms and hands.
Mhm. What a blessing that is, a little over a decade later, to
Yeah.
have that opportunity to set up automation to have things happen for you. I mean, that's even a bigger blessing than, but that good old fashioned, maybe you think it's not time to hire somebody, but it most likely is.
Hmm. 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 So, Lisa, how has this experience of helping others and going through your burnout, as you reflect on everything that has happened,
Mhm.
how has it changed your life?
Wow. I mean, that experience forever changed my perception. I learned to begin to let go of fixing situations, and as time went on, it was like, why do I want to put all this effort into fixing situations? Is it for me to fix?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that they were outside of everything was outside of me, and I wasn't going deeply within me
Mm-hmm.
to be Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
And learning to stay in the present moment was one of the most valuable things that I could do,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where all life is. It's not about worrying about what happened in the past or um, being anxious about what's going to happen in the future, because those things aren't real. What's real is that we're having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
putting self care first is vitally important. I went into occupational therapy because I wanted to teach people self care. So it's been a long time coming to help it to come to the point where it's just more than bubble baths,
Mm-hmm.
and I certainly believe in the power of body work and massage, but it's much deeper than that. It's much deeper self care of being still,
Mm-hmm.
to know that you don't have to fill your entire your calendar up, and just
Mm-hmm.
do those things that are most important and valuable to you.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Again, I mean, this conversation is loaded with gems. It's more than a bubble bath. Some years back when I was doing relationship coaching, um, and many times, this whole issue of self versus others and lack of self care and would come up in relationships. And of course, it is part of what we're talking about here. And I remember many times said, hey, make sure that maybe that time you get an hour or 2 hours a week where you get to do that bubble bath. But it really is more, as you were saying, it is deep work. It's a deep work of gaining awareness. It's an appreciation of being in the now.
Mm.
Um, the realization that it may not be your calling to solve everything. And I do know that I know women with children, many of them adult children, and I've seen them really struggle with still solving their children's challenges, and they actually take them on, and they really suffer.
Mhm.
And part of what happens when you solve everyone's problems is sometimes you deny them the growth that they need so that they can evolve.
Right.
And so caring for people or caring for others can be dysfunctional rescuing, is what I call it. Your
Mhm.
intention is good, but when you overextend yourself, then that becomes crippling for other people. So I take that as a point of healing is to recognize that in the whole ball of wax is also to stay in your lane in terms of what you're really called to do to
Yes.
help yourself and others.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, because it absolutely, when people think of boundaries, they think of walls that they may put up with people or jobs or business, whatever, so that they block things out. But where boundaries actually begin is yourself.
Hmm.
What are you doing to say no in order to make time for you?
Hmm.
What are you doing that gives you complete peace?
Hmm.
Where is it that your favorite place that you go that you haven't been to in a really long time that
Hmm.
gives you that sense of peace?
Hmm.
And you can start to examine deeper. And the thing is, it sounds like, oh, it's deep work, but it's work that just by stepping below the surface of the way that your life is operating, there can be this relief that you don't have to do it all, and you don't have to do it in the way that causes you a lot of struggle and a lot of pain in your life and exhaustion.
Hmm. Hmm. And it also sounds like that you're giving yourself permission to take a focus on yourself,
Mhm.
and that you're giving yourself permission to choose.
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely. It's taking it to that deeper level
Hmm.
of giving yourself permission, because sometimes that's all it takes, is saying, okay, it's all right for me to do this.
Hmm.
And that's where, even self-compassion enters the picture.
Hmm. 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 So, Lisa, as always, I'm amazed how fast time goes when I'm having conversations with my guests, and we are nearing we are just about at the end of our time together.
Mhm.
How would you like to leave my audience? What juicy tidbit would you like to leave with us before we wrap up?
To really emphasize your self-care is first,
Hmm.
and remember that you are the visionary, and that protecting your energy is so important so that you can lead from a place of presence.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, by freeing up the space and the time that's around you, those things can happen, and you can have that support to be able to operate your business,
Hmm.
whether it's hiring people or it's AI or it's something that can support you. You get to come home to you.
Hmm. Hmm. Come home to you instead of leaving you out on some street corner while everybody.
Mhm.
Okay. And the holiday
Absolutely.
season is coming up, and that can happen a little bit. So come home to you. Bring yourself in and enjoy yourself. Is my takeaway.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, Lisa, tell us, how can people get in touch with you if they really want to say, you know what, I want something different? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm out there in social media. LinkedIn is a great way to be able to send me a message there. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, as well as YouTube.
Mm, okay.
I'm in the midst of rebuilding my website, so I'd say I'd send you there, but it's going to be a little bit.
Well, I can appreciate websites. They do go through evolutions. So mine is going through an evolution too. But sure, if you will take a look on, particularly on LinkedIn, Lisa will be there. But also, we'll have Lisa's information that we will be sharing with the broadcast when this goes out, so that you'll be able to see right then how to get in touch with her. So, Lisa, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for, just talking to you just takes my shoulders down. I feel like that I've had a massage, which I would just love. But just having this conversation with you was so reflective for me, and helpful. Because yeah, I like to stay up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because I just get kind of into my work. But that's not really what the lifestyle that I like to have for myself. So
Mhm.
this is why, tapped in with Verily Biz Solutions is so important. It does a great service for the people who listen in, and it does a great service for me. And I certainly wanted to do a great service for my guests. So with that, I guess we're ready to go, ready to close. And again, thank you for your care. I wish you absolutely the best. We're coming up on the end of year holiday season. I hope that it's blessed and abundant for you and full of good health and joy, and that 2026 will just be a great year ahead for you.
Thank
So,
you, Fran, and thank you so much for having me today.
oh, and thank you so much, and I'm so glad that we were able to get together again. You've been so gracious. So take
Yeah.
care. And to my audience, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you walk away with something that, as you think about it, you can see an opportunity to grow yourself, whether professionally or personally. And so, with that, we'll see you soon and take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.